Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. So I went into this game yesterday, of course, hoping that Newcastle United would come away with the 3 points in the game and a much needed push away from this relegation battle that we're currently in at this moment in time. And I've got to say, Steve Bruce's lineup didn't really impress. There was some players that should have possibly played from the off, which I will get into in the review. But for me, it was another dropped points in this game, another two drop points, and we will get into it, of course, talk about what happened in the game right after this. Of course, this is 100% Max. So, of course, we went into the game yesterday at St James Park, and of course, it was an 8 o'clock kickoff. This is, of course, the lineup up on the screen now of how we're lined up for the game. Of course, we did see Dwight Gale coming in at the side. Of course, just playing behind Ryan Fraser and Joe Linton, playing in the role that we did see Joe Willock playing in. And of course, no Jeff Hendrick this time, which was a pleasure to see, in the fact that Jeff Hendrick was really powerful in the game against West Brom, and he has been really poor this season for it as well. But the lineup for me could have been better. Andy Carroll came in on the 88th minute. He absolutely dominated the Aston Villa defence. Now, if he had been brought in from the off, starting the game out, we could have put a lot more pressure on the Aston Villa defence. Now, looking at the way, this game has played out, we're quite lucky in a way to come away with the 1 point that we did, because it so easily could have ended with Aston Villa picking up a 1-0 win off an own goal from Kieran Clark. Now, don't get us wrong, that's not Kieran Clark's fault that goal ended up going in, because he didn't really know much about it, to be honest. And if it hadn't deflected off of the leg of Kieran Clark, it would have ended up in the gloves of Martin Dubravka, which, of course, there's quite a few Newcastle fans saying that Martin Dubravka, shouldn't be in. It should be Caldolo in because of how Caldolo's been playing this season. But you've got to go with your number one when he's fit. And, for me, Martin Dubravka has been putting in really good performances since coming back into the side. Of course, like I say, looking at the players like Joe Linton, he's been putting in some good shifts of late. He has made decisions where they haven't been great as well still, but that's something, that he's going to have to work on, and obviously something that he needs to work on the training ground, because the game against Aston Villa yesterday, he absolutely tore Tyrone Mings apart. But the one thing that I look at in this game against Aston Villa is that, why didn't Steve Bruce go with a more pacey player in that position? Why didn't he go with somebody like Dwight Gale to go against Tyrone Mings? Why didn't he go with somebody like Ryan Fraser to go against Tyrone Mings? You can clearly see, that Tyrone Mings is having problems with Joe Linton against him. So imagine what you would have, if you put somebody like Fraser up against him or Gale up against him, and then it took Steve Bruce all the way to the 79th minute to be able to bring on a sub. And then when he did, he still made a decision there, which was questionable as well. And the fact of bringing Ryan Fraser off to bring Jacob Murphy on. Now, don't get us wrong, Jacob Murphy's a great player, but he should have probably been brought on for Joe Linton instead of Ryan Fraser, because Ryan Fraser still had the emphasis in his game. He still had that attacking mentality to push forward, but Joe Linton was already pretty much done and dusted. His legs were shot and he wanted to be off the pitch. And the same for John Joe Shelvey in the game as well. We should have maybe seen Sean Longstaff coming into the side in place of John Joe Shelvey, because even he had shot legs by halfway through the game. And that's something that we've seen from John Joe Shelvey quite a bit. He always seems to just put his head down and forget about playing for the team. He just seems like he's fed up and wants to be off the pitch. And when that's happening, that's not going to help win this situation that we're in. If we look at the Premier League table up on screen now, you'll see you know, that we're currently 16th in the table. We've got 28 games played. There's only 10 games remaining in the season left. Of course, we've got Brighton coming up, who are just below us on 26 points. We're on 28 points, so we're 2 points ahead of them. 2 points ahead of Fulham as well. But Fulham do play tonight against Manchester City, so we'll have to see what happens in that game. Hopefully, Man City will come away from that one with a win, and hopefully it's not a similar situation to what we're seeing with Liverpool taking on Fulham, where of course Fulham ended up coming away with a win. Because if that happens, it's going to put even more pressure onward to perform in that game against Brighton. And something's got to change. Steve Bruce needs gone, definitely 100%. His time's up at Newcastle, and to come out after the game as well and make the comments that he did to the media, saying that we're 3 games unbeaten. You can't gloat about that, man. You can't be impressed in the fact that we've drew 3 games against teams that we should have been getting 3 points against. There's the game against Wolves we should have won, in my opinion. The game against West Brom is a definite must-win game that we should have won. The game against Aston Villa last night was a game that we should have won. And if we had had the likes of Almiron, Wilson, Maxi, we would have definitely 100% come away from them games with the 3 points. There's no question about it. But even with that team, that you could see up on screen now, even with that team alone should be able to do it. That team alone should be able to pick up 3 points against the likes of West Brom. We should at least be able to get 3 points against the likes of Wolves with that. Aston Villa, we should be able to get what we could get against them, which should have been 3 points as well. Now, some people might say I'm deluded in this way, of what I'm talking about here. But with that team alone should be able to do it. That team should be able to get some positive results, and under Rafa Benitez, right, that team was always able to do it. Fair enough, there's players there, in that team that weren't in the team when Rafa Benitez was here. But even still, there's quite a good core amount of the players that are still at the club that were at the club when Rafa Benitez was here. And Rafa was able to get more out of them. Yet Steve Bruce is still persistent on playing the likes of John Joe Shelby, who just seem to want to be gone. He plays idiots like Jeff Hendrick, who haven't shown anything of note since our first game against West Ham in the opening day of the season. But literally, we'll come away with a point in the game, what we should have probably picked up 3 points in, to be honest. So it's another 2 dropped points, in my opinion. And we'll move on to the game against Brighton coming up this coming Saturday. And hopefully we can come away from that one with the 3 points. But there will be a match preview out, of course, about that, where I'll discuss more about that game and the run-in to that game, of course. But let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, remember, like, share, subscribe to 100% Mags as well, as I'm on the road to 500 subscribers. It would mean a lot if I could reach that subscriber milestone on the channel, as it does help push the message out there even further. Until next time, I'll see you all later, and however lads.